Hey, I'm Ryan Sholin, and Brad Flora is here on the video with me. We're talking about using wikis at local news organizations. I just read a blog post that Carlos Vergen had posted. He's a young, I believe, web producer out in Walla Walla, Washington, which is a real live place and a lot of good people working out there. And he was writing about using wikis for local news organization, whether you should use it for a story or as an archive, and there's a lot of good thoughts out there. My idea is always that a local sort of frequently asked questions about your town is a neat idea. And Brad jumped into the comments there, and so let's continue that conversation.
My name is Brad Flora. I am the publisher of WindyCitizen.com. It's a social news site in Chicago, and I'm always interested in new local news ideas. I read the post, and I guess my main question was, how would a local wiki, kind of fit or not fit with the existing efforts on Wikipedia, or even some of the smaller projects like some of the local wikis on wikia.com?
And I thought about that. Every time I go through this process, I think about in Santa Cruz. I was the online editor at the Santa Cruz Sentinel for a year, and I felt like we were answering the same questions all the time, or that we needed to, that there was all this stuff that didn't fit in a news story, like where can I park for free near the beach? Wikipedia has stuff about the boardwalk, but it might not have the history of some particular issue, or it doesn't have an easy list of, hey, here's what you need to know if you're a tourist in Santa Cruz. I mean, that stuff gets onto local news sites in a bulleted list that is a sidebar to a story, but it never gets saved. It never gets saved in some sort of useful way that you can refer back to. But I think some of it is there in Wikipedia, so I don't know where the dividing line has to be.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some tension. Here in Chicago, not all of the members of the city council even have Wikipedia entries.
Right.
And
should they?
Sometimes when you try to fill that information in, the Wikipedia editors delete it because it doesn't meet their notability requirement.
Yeah.
There's some kind of an opportunity, some kind of an opening for information that's important, but maybe not important enough for Wikipedia.
Well, there's got to be something. There's got to be something that's more notable for the people who live in a certain neighborhood in Chicago than it is notable for all of Wikipedia.
Yeah, definitely. I guess then the question would be, how do you get something like that going? How do you make it a destination rather than maybe just something that people land on via Google?
Right. And the search traffic would be there, but that's not really your goal. Your goal is to provide this local information to your readers and to the local citizens. One take is the sort of low-hanging fruit is that you reverse publish, you put some things in print, you put some content in, you get some a short happy link to go find more of it. But that is that serving a local information need? I mean, to me I'm always sort of the mainstream news guy in the room when it comes to Knight Foundation grantees, I feel, because my motivation is like, well, we're getting local people information that they might ask for. Do they need it? Do they need to know where the free parking is? I don't know, but I think you can extend that idea and talk about the city council members in Chicago that don't have Wikipedia pages. It would be nice for the public to have an easy way to find out more about them.
Sure.
And there's all these efforts at kind of the big scale level. The New York Times API for Congress. There's some big scale stuff that's really interesting, but I always want to bring that down to a small town and say, all right, well, where's somebody going to find out about what the school superintendent has done for the last 5 years? Are they going to search your news site and read stories? Is that the best way to get through this information?
Yeah. I think what you're talking about is different ways to visualize information that's already there and to kind of structure it. I know I've been in some forum discussions where people who work in IT ask how they can get the corporate folks to use the wiki that they set up for them. And the suggestion is always to call it something different.
Yes.
But that's frequently asked questions or a knowledge database. That's usually the one that wins out.
That's a good one. I've been working with a wiki for a couple weeks at work, and it's easy to get the online staff involved, because this is to us it's totally normal. We're interacting with a little user interface, and it's not hard to do or to figure out or to look up how to do it right. If it was the whole company, it might be a little bit more difficult. So how do you
Sure, or if it was the whole town.
Yeah, exactly. How do
Yeah.
you train the town to update the page clearly? I mean, I think it's like any other community news effort. It's not build it and they'll come. You've got to build it and maintain it and have somebody on staff that is dedicated to paying attention to it and cheerleading for it and driving its adoption. The build it and they'll come model, I think, has failed a lot of small community efforts. I think you've got to really cheerlead.
Sure. Yeah. And I think in regards to my earlier question, so Wikia is the service that lets you set up your own wiki. And I've definitely seen like a Chicago wiki or a New York City wiki, but like you said, there's no resources behind it.
Right.
There's no one there saying, I'm running this, I'm your seal of quality, I'll make sure that the information on here is interesting and lively and updating, and I'll be spreading the word about it. And I think at the end of the day, that's something that you need in order for anyone to kind of pick up a service.
Definitely. Even in your newsroom, if you were going to, I mean, one of my suggestions was don't open this up to the public right away. Keep it as an internal thing, document what you need to document, and let the public view it but not edit it. But even in a newsroom like that, depending on how big it is, it's going to be one person maybe doing a lot of the work unless you can get the whole staff involved, unless you can say, I mean, that's the way a lot of online initiatives are in newsrooms. There's the couple of people that really take to it, and then you're always sort of evangelizing around the newsroom and trying to, I think in any effort it works like that. You've got your early adopters, and then their job is to go talk to everybody and say, hey, I saw your story today, maybe you could put some of those details into the wiki, and that's a task.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's something that we're going to get eventually. I think 5 years from now, there'll probably be something that looks a lot like wikis in a lot of towns.
Yeah. All right, it's pretty good. Let's wrap it there.
Okay.
And thanks for jumping on and talking about this, and thanks to Kristen Taylor, who poked us just now in the comments on my blog and gave us this idea. This is fun.
Thanks.